Hello, everyone. Hey, thanks, Nav. Thanks for the. Is that a sticker? Super sticker? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, everybody. There's a really high chance that my son might come back because he hasn't been down for bed for very long. So, this is. I want to start, I guess, by saying that um, I don't know how tonight's going to go. I don't know how well it's going to go. The idea is going to be that we're going to do Retro GEM in a PS2 Fat. If you don't know the saga is I've already failed installing Retro GEM into both a Slim, PS2 Slim, and a different PS2 Fat two different times. No, two different times in the Slim because Dan sent me. So first of all, Dan from Pixel Effects hooked me up with all these gem kits. So first the Slim one, then the PS2 Fat. I guess a little backstory. Which version of the Retro Gem did you get? So this one's for the PS2 Slim. I don't know if that, or a PS2. I don't know if that answers your question, Nav. But if you have any questions about anything, I'll try to do my best. So if you don't know, Retro GEM is Pixel FX's new one mod to rule them all. One internal HDMI mod to rule them all. You can buy it with a console-specific installation kit, right? So it's flex cable specific to different consoles. There's an N64 one. There is or will be a Dreamcast one. I'm not 100% sure. There's a PlayStation 1 kit and a PlayStation 2 kit for both the Fat and the Slim. So this is for the PS2 Fat. So I'm a little bit nervous. I didn't think I needed to do anything differently than I have done with the. If you're newer to watching my streams or any of my videos or anything, I've done N64 digital, PS1 digital, and the DC digital. So I've done all those mods to my own consoles. I'm not a modder per se. I don't mod consoles for other people. I know this is a lot of like upfront stuff. This is, I guess, a little bit of a warning. So this is not necessarily a how-to guide to how to install this kit. This is just how I'm going to attempt to finish it because I haven't yet. So you may or may not get good advice in this video. I did full or light. Dan has the full firmware on the gem kit. I think that answers your question. So this is the full shiny edition firmware. So I guess we should go over to the bench and talk strategy. I have to pull up the comments on the laptop, so let me go ahead and do that, and then we can talk strategy. I'm here. Hello. I'm gonna zoom out so that we can just know I'm over here. I have to. I'm really waiting for. Well, I'm just waiting to like win the lottery. Really, is what I'm waiting to. That way I can quit my job and just do this, only this. But really, I would like to have a second webcam on this side of the room so that I could talk to you guys while I'm doing things. Right now, I'm trying to pull up comments. I don't really need a strategy guide. If you haven't noticed, well, my laptop is super slow. That's one thing that you can notice. But I've taken the liberty of taking apart the PlayStation already, the PS2 already. 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10 actually, if I need to learn how to take apart a console, I look up the iFixit guide. So I followed an iFixit guide to get this console apart. Now, I also watched, I tried to rewatch some parts of, Dan has some installation videos, and some of them are not private but unlisted, that he links to in the Pixel Effects installation instructions. I wish he would make them public on his Citrus 3000 PSI account because that's where they're uploaded to, not the Pixel Effects account. I wish they were just all live because he has a series of these videos where he installed, he's installed into different consoles, different PS2 models, fat and slim, and different versions and things. So that's I kind of rewatched that before this video. And honestly, it kind of hit Dan, and this is not like a negative thing to Dan. I think Dan is probably really good at installing his own mods, right? And he's probably done a bunch of them, so he knows what he's talking about. But it's kind of a little bit contradictory. Most people, when they talk about these flex cable installations, they'll say to not have your soldering iron very hot, right? So normally I solder at 350-ish Celsius, not Fahrenheit, Celsius. And I think that most people would say that that's probably too hot for soldering these small pads on the flex cable. So I was initially going to try lower, like 300 or 250 maybe like 275. But Dan also only uses lead-free solder. The PS2 was made in the era basically, and pretty much probably all consoles going forward from the PS2, all the lead needed to be lead-free. So that adds a little bit of a challenge. However, I have some lead-free solder. I didn't know Kester made some solder. No, nope, I only work at 350C. So you think I should try this at 350? I was waiting for you to come, Leon. You're gonna you're gonna be my punching bag. Not my punching bag, but I'm hoping to learn. You know, I just want to be successful. However it is. So you think I should do 350 and stick with that? Well, one thing that I'm going to do differently than I did in the past. So here's the plan. Before I do anything with this flex cable, I'm going to desolder the optical output because optical audio output, because this is where the gem will come out of the PS2 case. So essentially, this is a no-cut mod, I think, pretty much. For this version, for certain PS2 Slims, it is not a no-cut because you need to cut a hole in the case. But some of them that have a modem are no-cut. Anyways, all the fats, I think, are no-cut if you remove those. Hey, Belmont. How's it going? Okay, so I'm going to just start easy with that. While people are floating in, I'm not going to really wait for people. I want to see how far I can get tonight with this kit. So I'm just going to... Dan, I disagree with Dan's video where he shows you this thing where you can like rip off the optical audio connector without desoldering it. But I am not going to do that. I'm going to, let's see, what temperature am I on? 350. Okay. I'm going to use just leaded solder because I've already done this before on another console. And you notice that I have the back shield on still. I don't know how much it matters, but hey, oh wow, Italy, it's 3:08 a.m. Well, that's I'm glad that you're watching, Massimo. Yeah, I'm doing all right, Belmont. I'm trying to be as relaxed as I can about doing this. I think hopefully it'll be no problem. I'm not thinking about the bad things. And you know what makes this interesting is, you know, I hope, well, doing anything on stream adds a level of annoying. Not annoying, I mean, because I love it. I love talking to you guys, but it adds an extra layer to this. I think Leon actually tweeted about that. It just makes it everything more difficult. I got to look at the comments all the time. So I'm heating up my desoldering iron, my Hako. And all it is those 3 pins we're going to desolder. I disagree with lead-free. For years, Dan sold Wii dual HDMI kits, and that was a lead-free system, and they work... yeah. You know what else is weird, Leon, is in the PS2 GEM installation section, it actually says leaded solder is one of the required things. So I don't know, man. There's so many mixed things. So I don't know. We're gonna try a thing, and I'll tell you what that thing is when we get to it. Before I use any solder. So I'll okay, all I'm going to do is just desolder these. piece of cake. This is kind of easy soldering, or desoldering, I should say. Obviously, it's a piece of cake with the Hacko, but I mean, if you had a manual soldering iron, I think you could do an easy job of that. Just taking that off. So that's gone. So basically, you don't have optical audio, but I mean, you've got the audio is in the HDMI output, so can't go wrong with not mixing either. Yeah, just the problem is the temperatures are way different. If I'm going to do lead-free, I think I want to be in the 370 range. I think lead-free, I think, goes higher. If you have to zone out. No, I mean, yeah, this is zoning out. Actually, pausing a minute because I don't know if you guys, when I make the videos, back when I was recording videos, it is very, for me personally, I can't say this to everybody who is a YouTuber or likes to make YouTube videos. I would take a lot of time. That's why, I would maybe work for an hour or two a night, maybe, recording everything, kind of going slow, trying different strategies of like, do I record myself? Do I not record myself? Do I do like a voiceover afterward? So this is sort of a different, this is like a relief. This is like a little bit low stress. I know it doesn't seem like it is, but it is to me. So, all right, so the next step, and let's get, so this is I guess this is the video encoder, I think, something like that. This is the area in question where the flex cable is going to go to. Before Dan does this, he installs a tiny little flex cable onto this, because this is the controller area, and we snag the controller input for the OSD and stuff. Dan does this first. And I am not going to do that because in case I mess up with the large flex install, I don't want to waste that. Those flex cables or the work to do that. So I'm immediately going to go to the hardest part, which is this, in my opinion. If lead-free isn't fun to work with, I've never actually, other than obviously the lead-free that's already on here. So what Dan, okay, let's get this. This will be a good visual aid. So we do actually need to remove some of the surface mount capacitors on both sides of the video encoder, and only certain ones. So let's get this. You can see that there are these, I think these are resistor arrays. These three chips here, three vertical chips. Do I have a replacement? Leon, I bought them, and I have no idea where they are in my house. So no, I'm gonna just rough it. I'm roughing it with this. So what Leon is talking about, and actually Dan does this in his guide, is there are new replacement crystal or clock. Yeah, I guess these are little crystals, clock crystals, that are thinner profile. If you look at the profile, it might be difficult to see from this angle, but the clock crystal here is higher than this component to the above it, I guess, in this orientation, and it sort of hinders your ability to easily solder to those resistor arrays. So here I'll show you what I mean. I don't know if it's going to make it like impossible. It doesn't make it impossible. I mean, I've already tried here, and I've already done this. You guys haven't seen it obviously because the video didn't come out, but I've already gotten this experience once already on this model. So like, it's kind of difficult because you can see where those two capacitors here. So we're going to remove those two capacitors that you can see. There is a third one right here that we're not going to remove because that actually gets soldered to a little spot there. So we are going to remove those two capacitors there. They're moved. Dan moved them onto the flex, so that's why we can remove them. So let's say you botch the install here. You want to make sure to save those and be able to put them back afterward. So I'll show you that. And then on the other side here, there is one resistor and one capacitor here that I'm kind of pointing to with the thing. These two guys right here. So we need to remove those components because they're in the way of the flex cable. So that's that's where we're going to start. And I'm just going to use lead-free for that because I really don't. It doesn't matter that much. So basically, we have to do a little preparation before we can do anything else. So I guess I'll give this. I'm gonna try to treat like every stream like talking like somebody might be new that is watching or doesn't know what the heck I'm doing. So soldering, taking surface mount components that are these little either a resistor or a capacitor is pretty easy. All you basically have to do is like heat up one of the sides, add some fresh solder, and then you do the same thing with the other side so that both ends are basically soldered or this fresh solder, but they're also warm or like easily warmed up. And then you can just go like back and forth between the two ends. Like I said, I'm making a nice little pile of all the little components that I'm taking off, but it's pretty easy to get both ends of whatever that you're trying to desolder hot at the same time. But I always like to do it at a 90-degree angle from whatever I'm trying to desolder. Where am I here? I got crap all over my desk, so I'm sorry. I hope that I can... That'd be funny if I found my parts I was looking for. No, I don't think they're here. I don't know where they went. But I've got two PS2 cases. I'm gonna when I put this back together, this PS2 back together, I'm gonna mix and match because long story short, for the other PS2 Fat, I messed up the install and I thought I messed up putting it back together again because at the point where I mess up an install, I just try to take the flex cable off and put it back to stock and make sure it works, but it didn't work. So I bought another of the same model. So this is the same motherboard revision, the same model as the one that I tried before. But I actually found that when I was putting the components back, I put them back wrong. So I think that I didn't kill that console, the other console. I think it was just me putting the components back. So I think I have two working consoles. I haven't confirmed that, but okay. What was I saying? Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this other capacitor here on this side. Gosh, it's sort of difficult because don't want to add like extra solder to the pins. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to add extra solder. Okay, now I got to do the other side. And I think there's probably a document or picture or something in the official installation guide that will demonstrate or show specifically which components to remove. So like on this side here, we do not want to remove this first capacitor right there. We want to leave that one. So we just want to take off these other ones here. Put them in a pile. And then this other one here. Come on. Okay. You want to kind of do that quick. I don't know how easily those capacitors get roasted by your soldering iron, but keep in mind they're constantly getting heated as they're on there. Okay, so that's it for component removal at this point. But okay, so a couple streams ago I ran out of solder braid, and I usually use I use the Chemtronics solder braid. I know a lot of people like Goot Wick, so I've ordered that. That's a Japanese company, so that's coming from Japan still from Amazon. But I got this Amazon just whatever recommended wick, which just came in a couple of days. So I'm going to use that. Is what you're showing on the main stream the closest you get to the components? No magnification. Yeah. So unfortunately, the other thing. Well, not unfortunately, I haven't really had any problem with it. Up until this Retro GEM, I don't use a scope. I probably should have one just for troubleshooting purposes and things, but I solder. I don't even look at the camera. I solder by eye, I guess. I don't know. Dan thought that was impressive, but like I didn't. That's just the way I like to work. So now that we've removed those components, we're gonna try to carefully remove the solder. Oops, where are we here? Sorry, there's just stuff everywhere. Here we are. We're going to move the solder that from the pads of the components that we removed. So, like this one. Hopefully the spray doesn't suck. Oh, it seems to work right. So that's those two. And then all this stuff over here. Yeah, okay, that looks right. Sometimes I can look at the screen. Like I don't necessarily use it when I solder. Like I look at the board when I solder, but sometimes I do look at it because it does look a little bit magnified. But this, actually I can go a little bit. Look at that. But I don't use the my camera really to get a better look. Okay, so let's clean the flux off of that because the next step is to add some Kapton tape, essentially to those same exact spots on both sides, so that because some of those pads, and especially this side, they are very close to the pins that we'll need to solder that flex cable to. So we need to make sure that there's a little bit of Kapton tape. I don't know if this is 100% necessary, but Dan recommends it, and it did seem to help a little bit the second time I did it. So and also these are the production flexes. The other flex cables that I was using, I don't think they were. Let's see before we move on. No, that's the second. To give you an idea of how much I think that Dan expects me to finish this, Dan gave me two flex cables. Two new flex cables, so I don't know if that means that he thinks I'm gonna be successful this time. But let me see if I've got the pre-production flexes. Well, the version is the same, but I sort of feel like they're different. So this one here is the one I did already and desoldered. Oh look, there's a Pixel Effects logo on the newer one. So these were pre-production, and these are but they're the same version, but you can definitely see that this lettering is in a different spot, So there have been differences, there have been changes since the other ones that I did. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess my eyes are still good enough. I wear glasses, so it's not like I'm. This is just with my naked eye. Well, I guess it's my naked eyes, but through. All right, and I'm looking for some snips because I want to get some fresh solder braid. I don't know why. Actually, I don't even need that yet. But just thinking about it. Okay, so the next step. Oh, like I said, we've got to add that Kapton tape. So I've got this pretty thin Kapton tape. Well, I don't know actually. I don't know if it's going to fit in there. I've got some even thinner. Oops. Just drop it on the floor. Let me get this thinnest tape I've got. And the scissors, I guess, too. Jeez. Not prepared. Well, it's not that I'm not prepared. I actually need better tool storage. I was thinking about buying like an under desk pull-out drawer thing to put all my tools in, but it looks the same. I don't know what you guys are saying. It looks the same too, but I do want to get a good scope because I think that would be cool. Just to kind of experiment. While I'm taking this Kapton tape apart, I did end up getting an analog pocket in. I've been messing around with it. So maybe if I rage quit this, or maybe if I'll save like 15 minutes at the end, people might want to hear my initial thoughts to it. I don't know. Something I was thinking about. I don't know. See, even this Kapton tape is too big, I think. And I didn't even get the... Dan made this look so much easier putting this stupid tape on. That's funny. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the actual layout of it looks the same. I'm just saying I could actually feel a little bit of a difference. Like, it might have been a little bit thicker, maybe, or like the actual material was different, if that made any more sense. Because I definitely noticed with and Dan confirmed that the slim, which the flex cable for the slim PS2 install is different. And I felt like the slim, at least the model that I had, was more difficult than the fat install. Because you've got to do more things. You've got to cut the case, modify the case. So that's a little bit more involved. I don't know. I think that looks fine, but it does kind of look like that tape is on the pins. Oh, it definitely is. Well, this part is fine. Like, I hope you guys can see. This part is fine because the flex cable doesn't go all the way over. But I don't like what I did with this one. Come on. Now the other thing to keep in mind too is we're gonna be like adding liquid flux and stuff on top of this. So these Kapton tape pieces don't really stay very well. I guess it's the important thing is to just create a little bit more separation. You know what would be probably an even better idea is to use something like if you were very confident in your installation skills, you could probably use like conformal coating instead. So like you actually block the solder from sticking to the pads. So it's just something I was thinking about. Okay, so I think that's good enough. I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt. You know, I have a little overlap on this side here, but this one looks okay. So we're gonna move on. So now it's flex cable time, and I guess what I saw Dan do first was where's my liquid flux? He did something. He was waking up the pins, or activating or reactivating the lead-free solder. I'm sorry, from at least this front area here. There's no solder on my tip other than what's already on there and what's on the board. So we did this, but his was hot. His iron was hotter. So I'm basically just reflowing the solder on all these points. Have you been successful, Leon, doing the PS2 gem? The fat? It's going to hit you up on Twitter, but I can't DM you. Huh? Yeah, if you want me to, I guess I could. For adapter case. I've got a couple of options. High temp, either ASA or ABS. I've got a bunch of black ABS. Okay, so I guess I should probably do these around the corner, but I don't want to get flux. Well, I just did it, so forget it. Basically, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Try to wake these pins up. I don't really like the Kapton tape on this side. Well, maybe I'll reposition that other side before we move on. And I'll do the same thing with this side. You guys can hopefully see what the heck I'm doing. So okay, I think that's fine. I'm missing flux. I just added some. Okay, I'm gonna move this sticker over. I just think it was too close to where I was, or to what I'm gonna solder. Okay, that's better. It's not near the pins there, that's fine. Okay, fine. Okay, So when I watched Dan's video, he kind of, the important thing to understand about this, my mistake, I guess, is I had a really hard time lining all three sides of this flex cable up. That's sort of the problem with this flex cable is it has three sides. I think this is unusual. I don't think we've had another console that did it this way, where positioning is very is that important, right? So not only is positioning important, but Dan designed this flex cable so that these front parts here, the parts by the resistor arrays in the front, need to be as far forward as possible in order for the other pins on the left and the right side to line up. And if you don't do it close enough, then you'll never get these pins lined up correctly. Now, before I move on, I want to double check you're talking about, I think you're talking about the 1.0 or like the older model ones where it kind of goes up and over it. Because the 1.6 only solders to a bank of resistors on the front. But I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but it's more flexible. It's basically like you only solder one side, and then you can solder, then the other side is kind of loose, and you have a little bit more wiggle room. It's not extreme. It's not like extremely precise like this flex cable is. I'm just gonna look up on. I'm gonna look up the PS2 GEM install, and I just want to have 100% the picture of what I try to do when I keep in, like, it's in theory it's easy to understand this side, but you need to know that the flex cable doesn't start at pin 1 on this side. I sort of wish that Dan, to make it easier for people to visualize, I wish that Dan had added, even if they were dummy pins, just all the way to pin, whatever the pin 1 was on this corner and on this corner, to make it easier for people to line it up visually, even if it didn't connect to anything, if that makes sense. So let's go to the installation instructions. Installing the main flex. Okay, so it looks like on the left side we have to go 2 pins up, or we're skipping 2 pins, and on the right side we're skipping 3 pins. So what that means is the first pin on this side is the 3rd pin on the flex, the first pin on the flex is the 3rd pin on the chip on this side, but on this side the first pin on the flex is the 4th pin on the chip. So that's a little bit confusing. Can't wait to install mine, but everybody's talking about how long this takes compared to other kits. It's not necessarily how long it takes, because honestly you'll probably have more trouble the longest actual part. Well, I mean, I've been talking for a while, that's why it's been taking so long, I think, but like if I was concentrating, I probably could have done this, or not talking to you guys, it probably would have been a little bit quicker. The hardest part is taking it apart and putting it back together. Not hard difficulty-wise, but longest part, I guess I should say. Okay, so when I watched Dan today, I watched that older installation. What he did was like tacked this left side of the flex to this resistor array, just like 1 or 2 pins with no solder. So he only used the solder that was already on the pins, and then he soldered the left side here with no solder, like just tacked it down essentially. And then later on he came back with solder. So that's what I was talking about earlier. I said he had a little technique that he did. I'm going to try using 0 solder, not leaded or lead free, just whatever's already on there, and see if we can just tack it down and keep all the sides together. There are dummy pins. The left has 3 dummy ground pins. Yeah, I guess what I meant was they don't go to the beginning. Like this side would be like the 3rd pin up, and then on the other side it's 4th pin up. So I kind of wish that it was just you started soldering at the pin 1. That way you knew exactly when you were lined up on all the sides. Just a small thing. I don't know if that really helped a lot of people, but it would have helped me. It would have helped me to visualize, I suppose. So what I'm going to do, this is going to be a, I'm going to put something under the gem board. What can I, or the PS2 so that it's at an angle. What can I should use my analog pocket. Should I use my analog pocket as a kickstand for my soldering? No, I should have a box or something. Okay, a resistor box. I think that might be too, that's too tall, of course. I maybe, how about the Miu Mini box? Gosh, that's too tall too. Get out of here. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay. I think this is, I know this is an awkward angle, but I swear it'll help me. So it might be annoying for you guys, but okay. So now, like I said, I'm at 350 still. I think at this time, Dan was still soldering at 370 Celsius. But I'm not going to use any solder yet. I'm not going to add leaded or lead-free. I'm just going to try, and also keep in mind that I don't have the flatter clock crystal, so this is going to be even more painful. But he started on this left side, so I'm just going to kind of try to line it up. Kind of trying to look at the other sides as well. Wait, is it fifth or fourth? How many pins do you skip on that side? 3. This might be too forward then. How am I supposed to do this? You guys can't even see what I'm doing. I can't even see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna try to like bend this a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna. I think Dan might have used a little flux. Oops. Gosh, that is very difficult with using the solder that's already on there. Okay, let me take a second here. Just think about it. Maybe I should just put a little bit of solder on this, like on it. So now I'm going to use a little bit of lead-free, tiny bit, almost like I was going to do my normal technique where I would just like drag solder. But I'm just going to add a little bit more to that first. The leftmost resistor array. Oh, flux. Didn't really do anything. Don't know. Okay. Okay, now there's a tiny bit more solder on that little spot. Now I'm going to take everything off my, wipe all the solder off. And try it again. Oh, well, that thing is blocking you guys, but I'm sorry. Oh, I gotta add flux. Come on, this stupid thing. Okay, huh. All right, so I've got those tacked down. Let me just look at it. I hope this is, obviously this is putting strain on that part. And it looks worse on the camera than it does in real life. Because again, this is super small in real life. So now I'm going to get this side tacked down because I don't really want, and Dan used, so again, same thing. I'm not going to add any solder yet. I will add a little bit of liquid flux. Dan used his, like, he went like this. Oops. To keep it lined up. Basically, he pushed down with his tweezers. Is that even doing? Oh, it's kind of working. Okay. Hey, look at that. Okay, so again, I have not used any solder yet, other than what was on the board. Oh, actually, no, I did a little bit here. Lead-free solder there. Well, this already is better. I feel more confident about this install than any of my other ones before, because of that little strategy of basically not using any solder, tacking it at this point here, and then using that to line up the other point over here. And now, like, everything is lined up. Even like on this side, they're pretty lined up. This left side. So I'm going to tack this side down too, and then we can start adding some solder. Now I know on this side there are two. I think it's like the. I know I keep saying pin numbers, but like not the first pad on the flex cable, but like the second and third, or the third or fourth or something, are two ground pins, or maybe it's like a group of 4 in a row or something. There's a lot of ground. Actually, you can kind of see it in my video. Let me just see if I can. I think this is what Leon was talking about too. There are 4 pins right here in a row that are tied together on the flex cable. You can kind of see the little orange line tied to those pads. Those are all grounds. So what that means is it just might take extra heat to get a good joint, but I'm not going to worry about that right this second. I'm just going to do the tack with no solder thing. Huh. That's right? Second pin up? Yeah. 2 pins. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I am good with that now. Just a matter of doing everything else, the rest of the owl, as it were. Maybe I should secure the other end of this flex cable here, the same kind of way. Well, the problem is, I do not want. It's got that clock crystal underneath it. That is sort of a pain in the butt because it's in the way. So I have to, like, the flex cable is kind of humped up, and I'll show you that in a second. I don't really think that did anything. Well, that did something. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, what I was talking about is, and I'm going to carefully try to show you, you can kind of see how the flex is bulging up here. That component is underneath it, keeping it from being flat. If that component was not there, or if you use the thinner one that Dan said, it would be a lot easier. If those 2 components were not there, I think this would be 100% easier, because you can kind of like, you could even probably like Kapton tape it down and then take your time and just solder it carefully. You just ride that crystal on the way down to victory. Yeah, I mean, this is like step 1, guys. So it's still a lot of, if I can do this, and then there's still more. I have to do There's another little tiny flex cable, and then there's a reset something somewhere, and then I got to assemble the console. So that's why I don't think I'm going to get this done today. So now what? Do I try lead-free and make Leon mad, or do I do mixed? I don't know what to do now. I guess I'm gonna try leaded or lead-free. Maybe I should turn the heat up a little more. I don't know. 370 or 370 is what Dan uses. Or should I just try with 350? This part over here. I'm gonna start over here. All right, I'll just do it. What am I waiting for you guys to do? To tell me about? Now on this right side, I'm gonna start this right side to finalize the actual joints to the pins. I will say that on more than one occasion, remember when I said that we took those components off the board, and then the only reason we could actually do that is because Dan has them on the flex cable themselves. You have to be careful with that because now you can rip those flex cables off the board. I was watching Long Island Retro. Well, that's not actually, it's One Up Restorations is the guy who does the installation videos for Long Island Retro, but he mentioned in his video the same thing, that those pieces, those components can come off the board. So you really have to be careful with your angle that you're doing the soldering. I think I need to push down a little bit. So I got flux on there. Maybe I gotta do like this. I'm not really gonna drag solder so much as like, this is sort of a bad angle to do this. However, I told you that if you try, like at least with this right side here, if you try to do this, you put yourself at risk of heating up those little components. So you should kind of do it at an angle that's like front to back, but it makes it more difficult with those components on the board. I would say that lead-free is probably easier. This is easier than my other attempts. So I would say lead-free is better. It's just a matter of, well, again, I'm not finished, obviously, with the install. But just there, the solder flows a lot better than I experienced with used my leaded solder. So I used leaded solder with the other two installs. So yeah, all right. So I'm comfortable with that. We can always come back. We can even do things like we can test it. We can use my multimeter and test continuity. But I'll probably come back and hit every pin individually also. I just want to add some more sort of structure to our flex cable. Maybe I'll do the middle one. So I'm adding liquid flux. Then I'm going to add a tiny bit of the lead-free solder. Sorry. You probably should clean your tip good too, so that you can control exactly how much solder that you're introducing. Then a little bit more of the new lead-free. Using my tweezers, I'm going to try to push down, and then, yeah. Yeah, not bad. Again, like I said, I will come back to all these. I just want to get more solder. So I'm really glad that I looked at Dan's guide again, because I was I don't know, nervous, I guess, going into this. I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again. So if you guys want to ask a question or talk about something else, or maybe if you want me to talk about the pocket or what I think about the pocket so far. Lead free, yeah. PS2, GameCube technically also, and the original Xbox, I'm not sure. because it was in the same generation. But I did not have any problems with either of the flex cables when I did my my 2 Xbox HD Plus installs. So I don't know, but I think those flex cables are a little better. Now, I say better, I just mean the console allows it to be better. You know, like it's just a better layout for making a mod. Yeah, it does kind of suck that you have to spend what, like a $40 on a roll of lead-free solder, but doing this stuff on live stream is always a bit nerve-wracking. Yeah, it is. I one of the things that you kind of lose with a video, as opposed to live streaming. Oh, this might be annoying. Yeah, I don't know. You don't get the ramblings in my head. Right? Like sometimes I mention it in the video, but some stuff I cut out or I just don't think about it until afterward or yada yada. But like sometimes, like I think most people when they're doing a mod, they kind of talk to themselves or just think about it before they do it. And that's something that you don't get when you watch a video, because people are trying to cut it down as fast as possible so people don't get bored. I didn't realize GameCube was supposed to be lead free. That explains why I may have issues. Well, I don't know. I use leaded solder for my GC Dual. I don't have a video of the GC Dual install. I have another GC Dual, so maybe I could do that someday. But I use leaded solder on that, and I didn't have a problem. So I don't know. Where is? Yeah, the solder flows a lot better when you use lead-free. I just suck then. You ramble to yourself all the time. Okay, well, I think this item I'm really happy with. Actually, that was really amazing, even with those 4 ground pins. I mean, I used 350. See, I didn't really use more. When I did use leaded solder, I had to crank up the temperature with here to do that. Like it just was not. I did not have this much, this good of a feeling. But I don't know. It's hard to describe. I do have some footage that I have still, but I don't know if I'll ever see the light of day. But love the micro soldering. Thanks, Michael. I don't know if I would consider this micro soldering. I think there's even smaller. Somebody mentioned, was it Natalie? Somebody on Twitter showed a video of this guy doing it like extremely small. There must have been like contacts or some kind of like a phone or some kind of a keyboard, like a touch keyboard. Back when phones had full keyboards on them, just like that kind of small switch. The person was making new contacts by rolling up wire with 2 tweezers at the same time. Like it was just nuts. So like that was what I consider micro soldering. Like you need basically a scope, or maybe the scope makes those look maybe the scope makes those look bigger than they are. Okay, I don't really know how much more solder I need to add to these. I'm gonna go back. So I'm comfortable with this left side now. I think that's fine. Other than maybe, like I'm confident. Well, we can either pull out the multimeter or I can just continue and we'll YOLO it and test it later and see if I have any. I don't know if that's the recommended way. You probably should use a multimeter before you fire this up, but I think these consoles are robust enough where if you've got a short or something, it's not going to nuke it. Again, don't take that as like, oh, well, Dubes and Hour said you could do it, and then I ruined my console. Like, don't. Just please. think I added too much solder. The other thing I hope you're noticing, I don't know if I really mentioned it that much, but I do feel like the tweezers pushing down is a good idea, because like I said, you're trying to make really good contact in front of that clock. So the clock is really bulging up the cable, but you really want a good solid connection. So you're trying to just push it down flat. Okay, fine. I always use a multimeter test. All right, fine. For Leon, I'll do it, but I'm gonna run over these again. Is this a slim or fat? I didn't put in the description actually, or I didn't put it in the description. UFO pilot. This is a fat. OG Xbox is leaded solder. Interesting. Any opinions on no clean tacky flux paste? I hear that it makes things easier. Well, regardless, I use it's MG Chemicals 836 LFNC liquid flux. I have a giant bottle of it. I put it in these little tiny squirt bottles because it makes it way more convenient to use it. I don't love it. I really don't love this, but it's very convenient because it's always on my desk and it's just a little squirt and then it evaporates pretty quickly, so that's good for not leaving a lot of garbage on the board. But there is nothing wrong with using something like Amtech Flux. So I have this 213 is what I like to use. I've used this since Make Megahertz recommended it for the Xbox HD Plus install stuff. This is really nice because it stays longer on the board. It doesn't evaporate as quickly. It is cleanable, so that's nice. And it's kind of goopy. So the one downside is the liquid is not clear. It looks nasty actually. This doesn't look like it's not a good color to have something look like. But so it does kind of obscure your vision in the beginning, but then it does turn clear when it melts. But it stays in place a while. Actually, if you want me to, I'll use it on the next part. But I highly recommend it. If you've never soldered with any kind of really good flux, it's kind of expensive compared to getting a giant bottle of something, but it's very enjoyable to use. So maybe if you don't go to McDonald's, I don't know your money situation, but skip McDonald's for a month and then just buy some MG Chemicals or buy this Amtech Flux, and then you can have some splooge flux. Okay, well. Oh, hey, CL. GameCube is not leaded. Oh, okay. Got it. Is it expired? Is my Amtech Flux expired? Oh no, it is by a year. Over a year. Oh gosh, I don't know. Is that a bad thing? But as you can see, it's just chilling. The flux is chilling. And then it kind of quickly goes clear. And look, so I've been soldering for a while, and you can't really tell on this, but there is still flux in this middle area. So it does not evaporate quickly. Basically, you kind of solder through it, if that makes any sense. It seems strange if you've only ever used liquid flux that just evaporates the instant you touch heat to it. This stuff doesn't do that, really. So that is nice. No bridges really, so that's cool. I do like the lead-free solder for the install for sure. Nobody failed the mod because their flex was expired a year, I guess. Yeah, I've been using this same roll the entire time I've been modding. So I've been modding since 2016, kind of, recreationally, like for myself, since 2016. And I haven't finished that roll yet. So I've been using like almost, honestly, it's almost 10-year-old solder now. What, like 8-year-old solder? Okay, well, I'm confident with that side. Let me just touch up this top side. I'm sorry, the right side, I mean. Again, making sure not to knock any of those two tiny components off the flex. Hopefully I don't just do that. It protects the flex and maybe makes cleaner joints. The flux, you mean? Yeah. That's funny. I don't know. I don't know why do they even put? It's like isn't it like a tool, like a chemical tool? Maybe it breaks down eventually, or like way over time or something. But was it you? Maybe it was Leon actually that mentioned something about flux. Someone a while ago had a tweet about solder expiring, and they got a new solder, and their solder joints were better or something. I don't know if that's true either. I mean, I'm sure if you had like 1,000-year-old solder, it would probably not solder well, but. Okay, I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I don't. Oh, okay, Leon said to buzz it, so. All right, I'm good with soldering. That's the flex, main flex. Way easier to do that method of don't use any solder yet. And I kind of now thinking back on what I was just doing, it does take a couple more seconds because these flex cable pads actually have pads on both sides, either side. They're both connected to the same pin, if that makes sense, but they do solder both on the top and the bottom. It makes a little sandwich with the flex cable between them. So like you can, if you push down with your tweezers, you are going to make contact with some solder that's there. Actually, now that I think about this side, does this side look weird? Oh no, it doesn't. It looks better on the camera. From the angle that I was looking at it right here, it looks like that's not lined up, but that's fine. That's good. Let's read the comments. Flux breaks down the oxide layer of both the solder and the material being soldered and allows the solder to flow. Yep. Recapping my laser active and building a bunch of OSCR. Oh, it's Bonzo. Hey, Bonzo. Made me go through a ton of solder. Jeez. Wow, that's crazy. Can you kind of see the joints as you solder using the Tachyflux? Yeah. Like I said, once it goes liquid from the goopy state in the beginning, you can see through it. It's clear. For the most part. I mean, it might be not like optically clear, but you can definitely, so basically like as you're bringing your iron to where you're about to solder, the solder will dissolve kind of, if that makes any sense. Not dissolve, but. Okay, well, for Leon's sake, I'm going to bust out my, where is it? Oh, it's up there. Is that it? Oh, it is up there. Okay. Getting my, oh, that'd be funny as hell if I found my found those smaller crystals now that I've successfully soldered it. They're floating around here somewhere because I literally went back and I looked at my DigiKey orders and I I ordered a bunch of them. So they're just somewhere in my room here. Probably got put somewhere weird when I was doing that stream where I went over all the mods that I haven't done yet. Flux does expire and reacts with moisture, making it less effective. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Chemical reaction, yeah. Got it. Makes sense. Okay, well, slowly untangling my thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make continuity between, or test continuity between the pad on the flex. You guys have actually an easier, you can see what I'm talking about easier than I can see what I'm talking about, if that makes any sense. I guess that's why people use scopes. But I'm going to try to touch the pad on the flex and then touch the pin. So like I don't have, oh, I do. I don't have very sharp pointy pointers on my thing. My I'm not an expert, guys, when it comes to electronics. So if I say things like I don't have pointy things in my thing, like I don't have, you can get multimeter probe points that are very sharp that are meant for this, and I'm just using normal ones that you would use for anything. Anyone purchased cables from Retro Access? I hope they're okay. Well, I've heard. I don't want to get into drama. I don't really know much, but I do think that they're having some personal problems, and I don't mean that in a. I hope that doesn't come across like I either know their situation at all, or I don't know. I just give them time, I suppose. I know it sucks that if you ordered cables that you didn't get them yet, whatever. But I would just be patient. Oh no, I didn't know they had a family issue going on. Yeah, something like that. Okay. All right, so back to this. So I wasn't getting, although maybe I was on the wrong pin. Okay, so first pad is the fourth one. Okay, continuity. It's kind of difficult because it's like, the other thing you could do is like what I was just doing is like crab walk down. So like put one of your probes on the pin that you're trying to test, and then the other probe on the pad that you're trying to test, and then move one or the other down one to test if you're bridging to the pin next to it or not. And then keep doing that. So like you're sort of like shuffling your probe points down. So I'll do that on the front here. So that side looks fine. Time to skip testing. Those probes are tips. Oh my God, Leon. You can't do this to me, bro. Okay, well, Leon's the expert of everybody's tools. This is how I'm going to test it, bro. Yeah. Leon is trying to say that obviously I can't really test that well for shorts because the probes are so wide that they're most likely touching both, or they could be touching two pads at once. So like obviously there's going to be short. So yes, Leon, I know what you're talking about, but I don't have the right probes. Well, testing this whole resistor array is going to be not even possible because it sucks. All right, Leon's probably right. The tip is too big. Yes, I'm sorry, my tip is so big. Well, anyways, I'll just give this other side. I don't know how easily I can test the continuity on the, where am I? On the side, the resistor arrays, because it's very hard to get one and the other. But I think I can do an okay job at this part. Maybe Leon's right. Yeah, like I'm definitely touching both pins there. The other thing too is like sometimes it doesn't make if there's flux or something still on the pads, your probes could also not even make contact with the pad even though they're on it. So sometimes you get a bad connection. Okay, well I'm just gonna send it because yeah, I'll have to get some better probes. That's a good idea, Leon. If you have any that you suggest, are they like universal? Are probes universal? I don't know. So I guess the next thing we should do is this thing. I haven't really gotten this far because I rage quit at this point on my other one because I failed it. A good microscope, all you need is visual confirmation. Yeah, I'd like to get a nice scope for sure. Okay, so let's do this little guy. Where is this located? This thing? But mine's like sideways. Or is this? I think it's this. I have a pointer. Okay, so I need to solder or add some not add some solder, but like do that thing I did in the beginning where I woke those up, these pins up here with my iron. I didn't think that Leon was going to backseat me this entire install. It's fine, Leon. It's fine. Like I said, I legitimately want this to go well, so if you have any suggestions, I'm not going to refuse them. Now, this is going to be wonky because this gets like folded twice. So what I've done before with this is using some tweezers, you can like get the thing lined up, like basically don't fold anything yet, and then or add anything. Well, I guess I probably could add solder. Yeah, I need to add some solder into my tip. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of solder. This is a little bit different than I did to the pins on the flex up here, but the pins on this IC that we're trying to solder to are way bigger. So this is more like normal soldering, where you can kind of just like normal drag soldering, I should say. Oh gosh, now there's like a bend in that part. Gosh, that's hard. Okay, let me try to like pre-twist this part. I'm trying to get it like that. And then somehow get my third arm to get the soldering iron. Okay. So it's tacked down to that one pin. With a good microscope, the good probes. Yeah, Leon, send me a link to the probes you use. I mean, I'm not against buying good tools. So on Twitter, if you want to send me a link or something. Okay, guys, a background noise for Leon's other work that's way more important than this. That's funny. Just kidding. Okay, let's finish this off. You probably could use normal solder for this, or leaded solder, I mean. But I'm not gonna. What I will say about lead-free solder is it doesn't shine the same way that leaded solder does. Like I can't necessarily tell when I have a super good joint. At least maybe I'm at too cold of a temperature. Maybe is that a sign that I'm at too cold of a temperature? But I look at the other parts of the board. I do see some shine on some of the joints. But like if I have leaded solder, I could definitely tell when I have really good joints because there's this shininess to it. My third arm. That's funny. Okay, then you have to fold those flat. Oh, I didn't solder the 5-volt line. I have to do that too. I'll do that. Oh, add a piece of Kapton tape. Okay, I'll have to add a piece of Oh, no. I'm good. I already have the Kapton tape underneath this. So that's what I'll do after I do this fold. I think that's fine. I really don't think there's anything on the board that's going to prevent this piece from being flat or not. You know what I'm trying to say? I always tell when I have a super good joint. Yeah, well, this is a different kind of joint. That's funny. All right, so 5 volts is where? Oh gosh. On is it the same? So this looks like there's a little regulator right here. So in the picture, it is the closest one to me. So I'm just gonna do the old wake and bake. See what I did there? Even the feeling of this lead-free solder is different. Like it just feels, it doesn't bend the same. Like it just is off. If you use leaded solder often, you know what I'm talking about. You would know what I'm talking about if you switch to lead free. If you're very used to leaded solder. Hey Modsville, busting out a fat. Yeah, I'm busting a fatty. All these weed jokes, my God. Yeah, no, I think I'm past where I failed. I'm getting some 30 gauge wire to solder that signal. I'm past where I was before. So I rage quit the flex cable. Well, actually no. I'll tell quickly for Modsville. So I failed a slim. Then Dan sent me another cable for the slim, which I also failed that. And then I failed the fat. The consoles are fine. I ruined the flex cables. So I've been trying this install with lead-free solder, and it seems to be working okay. So this is 30 gauge silicone wire. I don't really like using ribbon cable anymore. I mean, obviously for something like an NES RGB, I probably would still use ribbon cable, but for anything that uses single wires and not like a bunch of wires together, I really like to use silicone wire for anything. Got my fat kit the other day, but haven't busted it yet. Assume the fat is a much bigger doozy. No, actually the slim I thought was more annoying. So, but I'm curious to hear what you think about this one. Just the well, I don't know, the piece that the clock crystal is underneath here on this one, so it's a little bit it's very in the way. So that was kind of challenging. That's like the challenge for this one. But I do feel like the slim is challenging in its own right as well. So I don't know. Curious to hear your thoughts, and you'll probably post something on Twitter when you do it. Okay, so I'm soldering a wire to that leg. Gosh. Okay. And then I'm going to solder the other end to this pad here. I could probably use leaded solder for this part too, like I did with the for removing the service mount components in the beginning. But I'm just going to practice with the lead free while I have it. Did I get the rep? Did I go the Repsu? No, I have. Dan also gave me a 50,000 PS power supply. I didn't really talk about that because I was so focused on doing the flex cable. But Dan gave me, and it's off to the side here, and this is what I tweeted about, because Dan gave me just the 50,000 power supply unit and the tray, because they're physically different, and I'll talk about that in a second once we get past. Well, actually, maybe next time, because there is another flex cable, but I will talk about it next time on Wednesday. The process for the power supplies, because you have, in order to install, this is a 39,001 PS2 Fat, but you can use either a 50,000 PSU and its bracket, or you can use the re-PSU. And Dan gave me this, so I'm like, I didn't have to buy anything, that's fine, because the re-PSU is like a lot of money. Isn't it like $60 or something dollars if you buy the AC adapter that comes with it or something? Yeah, I was really hoping that I was going to nail first try the Slim, because I have a Japanese white one, and it just looks sick. Like, I just love the way it looks. Plus, there's the M2 loader thing that's coming out that you showed already. So there's like 8 screws. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's the hard. Like I said to somebody else earlier, that the hardest, one of the more difficult, not difficult, but time-consuming parts of the Fat is taking it apart. I just don't like my PS2 enough to mod it. Yeah, I mean, I think that PS2, well, okay. For the minute that I actually was able to get the Slim actually booted up, the problem was my solder joints on the PS2 Slim flex cable were not good. And so the process of me trying to fix the flex cable ruined the flex cable. So that sucks, but yeah. What I was trying to say is the digital output from these mods, it definitely looks good. I feel that it is better than an analog cable. And maybe Modsville can or Leon even can weigh in, but I do feel like there is an advantage for this over even HD Retrovision cables. But I'm curious to hear others' opinions. Oh, come on. This cable has been annoying. Oh, I'm not zoomed in. I'm sorry. I think you guys are like watching me do this, and I'm not even. I'll answer the chat in a second. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so that's the 5 volts. Let me see. PS2 is kind of a shitty time in my life, so I don't want to look back on it. Yeah, I'll tell an interesting story in a minute, but I want to finish reading the comment. I don't know if it's interesting, but from my past. This might be just outside your skill level. Yeah, well, those are the mods that are both simultaneously infuriating, but also extremely, when you finish them, you're like, hell yeah. Like, that's kind of what I live for, is that the hell yeah. And that's what kept pushing me to do more and more. Took the PS2 too far down here. Keep it in case then when I install the gem. Fats have 4 screws to tear down to the board. Unless there's some wizardry, I don't know. PS2 over analog into my tank looks pretty damn good. Yeah. I wish I had a 4K, man. It's rough out here when you don't have a 4K and everybody else has got them posted on Twitter. More stoked to see where they cook up the Xbox. Yeah, I'm curious. I know that you've mentioned about that you think that they can do it without a mod chip, but I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but just the way Well, there is more to it than just like, I'm not just trying to say like, oh, Make Megahertz is the greatest and he knows everything, but like even Risey, who designed he designed an Xbox chip, and that's what that Nemesis guy is. Well, actually, I'm not sure if that guy Nemesis is using Risey's schematics or not. But Risey gave up because he got to somewhere and he couldn't get any further with designing his without soft mods. So I don't know if that's going to be the same conclusion for Dan and Pixel Effects or not. It sounds like they've already got working, like at least way back when people were talking about it. It sounds like they already had a working prototype, so I don't know. Biggest surprise about the gem in a PS2 is not the full screen output. Oh, my biggest surprise about the gem in a PS2 is that it's not full screen and output like N64, PS1. Need to play around with the zoom. Yeah. One thing that I have noticed about the Xbox HD Plus versus trying to capture analog output from an Xbox, I'm going to do the whole wake up these pins thing. I'm not exactly sure which pins we need here to do the second flex, but the smaller flex, but I'm going to just heat it up like I did before. I'm happy when the Xbox HD Plus output is full screen and it doesn't have a border. Like I said, it automatically scales to the whole screen. And that's something that I really wish that the RetroTink did. Like I had an option, like, okay, put your resolution. I'm talking about the RetroTink 5X. I don't know if the 4K has any modes like this, but like some, Pixel Perfect or like the best output I can get is fine, but sometimes I just want it to be full screen or like letterboxed to the screen, if that makes sense. Like that should just be a mode. I don't know. Does that make sense to anybody? I forgot the ground connector. I did. Ground connector. I'm following the guide here. Let's see, ground flex cable, then the 5 volts, then the audio flex audio leg, and then it says controller hookup. I don't know what you mean ground connector. Well, Belmont, he did. Back when I was making videos, I asked him, and he said yes, like he just needed more review kits. And then he hasn't really talked to me about it. I'm not going to, I don't care. I'm sure he's super busy fixing stuff. And while I would probably shill the heck out of the 4K, there are other more valuable people than me that have them, that should have them, that are testing it. So I'm really not that upset. In worst case scenario, he doesn't give me one and then I just buy one. I don't know. Eventually. Right side, okay. Yep, I know what you're talking about now. Before I move on, Leon's talking about this. Oops, you guys can't see what the hell I'm talking about. Wait, maybe you can. Yeah, this little guy here. Is this for the reset? This other one here? Ew, squishy. Yeah, okay. Got it. It's not really super clear in the photos. Let's just check. The reset line, yes, the reset line goes to that other. Does it? I'm just looking at the photos. Oh no, the reset goes to this pad. Reset goes to a pad on the top. Okay, well. Risey's design or the Make Megahertz one and utilize an FPGA. I believe that's why the BIOS patching is required. I believe Risey said something along those lines. Yeah, that's interesting. So maybe there's enough. I'm curious. I would love to talk to Dan. I've talked to Dan actually offline about stuff, and he's super no that ground on 5,000. I don't know. Reset is a spot. Okay, got it. Yeah, I did Belmont. I asked him again. I'm just gonna chill. It's fine. Like I've seen other people get them after I've asked, so I just, I don't think he dislikes me. I just think that he's super busy, and that's fine with me. And I'm not. Well, I don't know. I would consider making a video because I'm assuming I'm going to record everything. Every time I make a solder ball like that, instead of a flat joint like Leon posted in his picture, I get self-conscious. I'm like, my solder joints are not as good as Leon says they should be. It sounds like I'm trolling Leon, but I'm not. Okay, I think that's good. Yeah, good. Nice. Okay. I think that's what you're talking about, Leon, I hope, right? Cap? Yep. Mike is, yeah. Well, not that he's not. I caused some drama for myself, Belma. I don't know how much you followed my career and my mistakes and stuff, but back when the 5X came out, I'm getting the other flex cable out of the bag, the small little guy. I found a weird bug with the 5X where there was some way that you can cause it to like freak out, like it would flash super bright green, a green screen. It would flash it, so it was definitely like a seizure warning level bug, and it was pretty easy for me to reproduce it. And so I took a video, or I recorded it, and then I posted it on Twitter, which I shouldn't have done that. I should have just emailed Mike right away. But I kind of posted, hey, like epilepsy warning. There's a pretty common bug in the 5X that could cause seizures, and this is what it looks like. I guess I should, I put epilepsy warning at the top, but Twitter videos autoplay, so that was really stupid. But I've been in hot water with Mike, but he's also helped me with other things. He helped me. He had been talking to me about when I was making my Extron auto switcher thing. All right, so where does this flex cable go? He was telling me ideas and stuff. So I think I don't have any beef with him, but I don't think he's not giving me one because he's got beef. I think he's just super busy, and I'm cool with waiting. But it is when are you getting Saru? Well, CO, you've been telling us that Saru's not ready, so I've been not ready. Right? So you let us know. You let us know if Saru is good now or if we should continue to wait. Because I've been continuing to wait before I do anything with it. I don't know if I'll even do anything with it because Saru is not a mod. It's just a cart, right? Okay, so we're going to go up 3. Holy cow, how the heck? Okay, so this gets soldered on top of some more surface mount components here. So we're going to skip the first 3 pins, and then this is where this little tiny guy gets soldered on there somewhere. Controller flex is a bit confusing because they don't print up on it. I do see the picture, Leon, so I see the vias and the traces, and I have it the right way up. So yes, I do. It does not mention one side is up, one side is down, but you can see that there are traces on one side and not the other, so I'm assuming that's up. But get in trouble all the time. Yeah, that's not the first time I've gotten in trouble, but I'll save that for another day. Oh, so the story about, so when I was younger, I was 12, maybe 13. I had a health problem. I couldn't walk. Like it hurt to walk. Like it hurt to sit on the bus because I would still be in middle school. I was in middle school at the time, and it hurt to sit on the bus. It hurt to walk. Hurt to stand. So, long story short, it turns out that I had a back tumor or brain tumor in my spine. So it was the type of brain tumor that is a brain tumor, but because of the location of it, it caused my back, it didn't paralyze me, but it just hurt like hell. And so at first, we didn't know at first that it was, I'm going to shut up for a second. I'll tell the rest of the story. I do want to tell the story, but how in the heck? How are you supposed to do this? Okay, maybe I'll finish telling the story, I guess, before I move on, because this needs some concentration. So the doctors weren't sure what it was, and to make it worse, diagnostics worse, every time that we went to the doctor, like my parents would bring me to the doctor so the doctor could look at me, I would feel better. But just like being in the doctor's office, I would feel better. I don't know why. So it was very difficult in the beginning for them to diagnose what I had. So eventually I was admitted to a hospital, and they were able to do tests, and there was a specialist, some kind of a, I don't know, tumor specialist, or I don't know, some kind of specialist, obviously. It was this weird non-cancerous brain tumor thing. And so I guess I'm lucky that it wasn't in my head, but they had to operate. So I have a hole in my like L3 or L4 or L5 or something vertebrae. One of my vertebrae, they had to cut a hole into it because the tumor was inside of the spinal column, like inside the bone, wrapped around my spinal cord. So they operated, and they got, as far as I know, they got everything. And I've had multiple MRIs afterwards, so I think they could tell that it was completely gone. But yeah, that was pretty scary. So anyways, because of that, I was at home a lot. And so for that Christmas, this is not like a flex, I don't know. Some people have families that are weird. My aunt's side of the family, they're kind of like, they're doing pretty good in life. So they bought me a whole ass PS2 for Christmas. And then it was the year that my brother first got a job too. So he bought an Xbox with his money, and we already had the GameCube because we were big Nintendo fanboys. So that Christmas, that holiday season of that year, when the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, all of them came out, we had all three consoles. So I was incredibly gifted with all the consoles when I was that age. So it's pretty cool. So I have a lot of nostalgia for all three of these consoles. This is going to be hard, man. I can't even tell what I'm lining up with. I guess I'll use my camera. Here we go. No, the third one over? Fourth one over? Gosh. What is it in the picture? Third one over, yeah, so I gotta go to this one. This is really difficult because this is a very thin flex. It does not have a lot of weight. So I'm having a hard time positioning it. Oh, I'm lined up on the wrong one. Gosh, this is hard. Huh, how do I do this, guys? I gotta use my tweezers maybe, like hold it down. How do I know if I'm on the right thing? Okay, that's correct, right? Did that do anything? Okay. Let me just verify that all the pins are correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth pin? Yeah, okay. Nice. Right. I'm dying. It gets super hot in my room because I have literally 4 lights going plus my room light. It's about time soon to get rid of the air conditioners in my walls or my windows. So it is not. And I have a sweatshirt on. Like, that was a mistake. But I'm almost done streaming. I'm just gonna go to 11. hopefully I can finish the flex, and then next Wednesday, or this Wednesday, we can just cruise through testing and assembly, and then I'll be a happy PS2 GEM owner. Oh my gosh! What? Well, that's annoying. I suppose I should have used the tweezers. Well, the flex cable still looks okay. Yeah, F. This sucks. This part's more rage quit inducing than the other part. And you guys are just watching me stab a friggin' flex cable into a console over and over again. I'm looking like an idiot. Tape it down. Well, the problem is, we still in business? Or we? No, we're good. Still, I'm not gonna throw this thing. The problem is there's these components here. It doesn't let me lay that cable flat. Although I guess it would kind of be like not a bad idea. I don't know. I want to be able to move it around still. All right, so add flux to the board. It really does look absolutely dumb on the camera, doesn't it? Well, one of those pins is on. Okay. This is lined up, right? Third pin? Yep. It is off ever so slightly. That's annoying. Oh my god, it just flew off. Okay, well. Move the components and just put them back. That's funny. Yeah, no, I could, I guess, but it's sus. Okay. Check the visuals on my... See, this is actually a case where my camera is helping me because it's just ever so slightly bigger than what I can see. I'm not really adding more solder because there's already a lot in this area. Well, I say that, and then this other pin is like nothing on it. So Perhaps I should add a little more solder. Maybe now is the time that I should tape it. You think you'll skip this mod? I do not blame you, but it is super cool once it's done, I'm sure. It's this left one here that's annoying. This is exactly how it flew off before, isn't it? Okay. Well. I think I'm getting closer to the actual flex being soldered okay, but now I've got that bridge. Solder bridge. Good night, Virtual Boy. Yeah, I know it's late. I don't like... I just feel like time zones are better if you're on the West Coast for people watching stuff like this. I'm trying to get this solder bridge taken care of, but it's not. Oh, so close. Well, you know what? This might be a job for the Amtech. Let's see if that helps. I know I've got shorts. Actually, I'm wearing pants, but thanks for noticing. Also try not to melt this connector. Okay. I'm gonna do one of these. Yeah, did it. Took care of that bridge. All right, where's my tweezers? Push down. All right, I'm good. I'm feeling good with that. I don't think I have any bridges. Those look fine. Okay, cool. I'm moving on. That was a pain in the butt. That was not hard per se. It was just the pin pitch is tiny. It's an awkward spot because it's got these components underneath it, and the flex cable pads are not necessarily pads like they're not castellated. So you got the wrong tip to remove solder bridges. It can remove solder bridges. It's all about the, I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right, so now where does this go? This goes over here, I think, right? Maybe there's a fancy spot. Let's see. That goes to, tape that guy down a bit. No, I got it. We're good. Hi, PCB Way. Hey, how's it going? Okay, does it say to, it doesn't say to bend it though. It just says to, do I have to fold this? Because look at the bigger picture. The controller gets plugged in over here, but then this kind of gets plugged in here. Like that. So do I ever fold this or anything? Let me just look at, I've got Dan's installation video pulled up on my other computer. Oh, I did. I'm going to pull up Dan's, oh, it was from the Retro GEM. Oh, that's on my, I got to do it from here. Ah, it's already Monday. Fold it lightly twice, just kind of anywhere. Just like anywhere along here. Yeah, but like how? Do I just like, because it would be easier for me right now just to do it like fold a 90 and then do another 90. If I don't do that right away, if I don't do that first, then like how do I fold it after? Does that make sense? It'd be easier for me to fold it. Okay, I'll just do that. I'll just. This is probably super frustrating for somebody out there. Just like, just fold the stupid thing. Okay, here's one. And then another one. One. And then I can kind of dial that in after. Okay, good. All right, I'm going to tin these points. Again, I could use lead-free or leaded here if I wanted to, I suppose, but I've already got the lead-free out. And like I said, I'm just practicing with it. Still just at my normal 350C. Nothing different about the temperature so far. This, keep in mind, I do have a, I have this iJune T3A, which is a 200 watt heater, or 200 watt soldering iron, so that might actually help. I'm blocking the screw hole. Uh-oh. Oh, this. So I've got to do it like right away, fold it right away. Got it. Okay, got it. Okay, now I'm gonna do that. I got it. I got the screw hole. You guys are screw holes. Okay. I can kind of reposition it now that it does have the bends in it, and I can come back and like fine tune exactly where I want it to be. I probably should not have done that, huh? Okay, now. Okay, good. I think this slid forward a little bit, but oh boy, I don't know. Oh, sorry, I didn't zoom in. See, it looks okay in the picture. These pads are not very big. So I think I'm okay. And like I said, I think we are going to be testing it outside of the case. Like it won't be assembled when I first try it, so I can always fix this if it does end up being annoying. I don't want to ruin this flex cable at this point. All right, that's fine. I'm not going to mess around with that. If I have to touch it up later, I will. But I think that's making connection. All right, let's read. I want to zoom in. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I do need to invest in if you guys want to donate or something, I should set up memberships actually, because YouTube said that if I gotta find that email. YouTube said that if I enable memberships on my channel, YouTube memberships, and get to 500 or something members within a month or within like the end of November or something like that. Well, first of all, they give me $500 to enable memberships on my channel. I think something like $500, something like that. And then it'll give me another 500 if I get 500 members. So I may do that. Tape down that nightmare flex you were folding so it doesn't get in the way of a screw hole. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's like talking to a brick wall. Robin the Fox, I was reading your comment. It's like that meme where the guy's just yelling at a brick wall. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so CO is saying that we should go. So that was my new fold was this one. I'm not hardcore creasing it because I know that you're not supposed to do that with flex cables. But I do want to make a nice something fold. And then I'm gonna I'll put Kapton tape here. I'll get the wide Kapton tape because I don't like the skinny. The skinny Kapton tape I don't find it sticks very well. So I like to use the widest that I can, but sometimes, like we saw before, like I didn't, you guys can't see what I'm talking about. I didn't have room here because there's too many components, so I had to use my skinniest for that. 500 smackaroos, something like that, Belmont, yeah. Is there other solder required for this? There is a reset line, I think, another wire. But I think that's it for soldering after the reset wire. Actually, no, this is like a giant piece of tape. Is that an okay enough spot? I think that's fine. Cool. All right. Making progress. I've worked in metal fab, and I feel you on that. I'm almost as deaf as a lamppost. Yeah. Hard work is done. Go grab a beer. Well, there's the reset, right? I don't want to forget that. Maybe I'll finish up tonight with the reset. That'll be the last of the. I think that's the last of the soldering, and then we can. So next stream, unfortunately, I'm leaving this on a cliffhanger, but next stream, we can fire it up, and I know it's super tempting to do it tonight, but I don't. It's not going to happen. I don't think. Run a line from the reset test point to the point. Okay, so where is the GH19? Why is there a? Oh, okay. So it's highlighted there. So we need to go from. Here in the front. I'm gonna leave this a little zoomed out because it's a big. It's this corner via there in the corner. It's pretty big. But more solder. I'll finish off with this reset wire tonight. And then next week. I know it's probably not good. It's probably better just to test it now while it's fresh, but I don't have a lot of time tonight. Still gonna use the same 30 gauge wire. If I can find there it is. Okay, let me tin it. I kind of like the feel of this lead-free solder. It just feels neat. And then I know that I'm not like touching lead. I don't know. That was dumb, but hopefully you guys understood what I was talking about. So could like the retro console modder thing be instead of touch grass, like touch lead-free solder? Is that weird? Okay, so I know it needs to go. It gets like looped under the. Is this the CPU? This big thing? It gets shoved in here to kind of keep it out of everywhere else, or keep it, I guess, lined up correctly. Okay, got it. Oops. Okay. I don't think it needs to be particularly tight. Good night, Robin the Fox. 4 a.m. Jeez. All right, Belmont, take it easy. Fire up. Modsville. That's funny. Let's see, CO. Recommend the following. You just soldered like 50 pins, such as RGHB. Yeah, recommend you get multimeter. Well, we already did. We went through that, and then Leon yelled at me because I don't have small enough pins. So I already used my my multimeter. I tried to use it, and then Leon said that don't even bother. So then what did you say? You said, oh hey Gavin, I installed the basic edition and bought the shiny upgrade, but I can't for the life of me figure out how to actually update it. Ah, interesting. Make sure none of the power is ground. Yeah, that's on the left side of the main flex up that way. I know what you're talking about. I can try to do that. Okay. Let's do the other side of the reset. Let's see. Okay, so this is another situation where I could get in trouble with the screw holes. So does I don't see in the pictures, but I'm assuming you could probably tape down this cable as well somewhere out of the way so that it doesn't slip. So let me just give this a wide berth. And then I gotta then tin this guy. Yeah, I'm not going to zoom in close for this part, but shoot. Okay, I think that's good. Don't really want to, that part where you solder that wire is on the part of the flex cable that's bending up, so. See ya, Belmont. They updated through Wi-Fi. I don't know how the connection, I think there has to be some kind of phone home. Actually, I don't know. Maybe they bake all somehow they bake an algorithm into the chip, or all you have to do is put the right activation key in and it works. I don't know. All right, now I guess I should tape this part somewhere on here, right? Probably, just in case. I don't want it to get lodged in either of those screw holes. I might test this off stream before Wednesday, like tomorrow maybe, just to see what work I've got to do on Wednesday to do this. So I'm cutting some Kapton tape off screen. Oh, you can see me a little bit. It's hard with these super close up. Sometimes the camera is close up and you can't really see, and I'm not aware that you can't really see it. So I know this area is the CPU. Does this, or some kind of processor on the other side, does that get super hot? So I probably should stay away from it, like here. I don't know. That is good enough. Maybe I should have put it over here, but I think this is probably okay. Rotate the board. Rotato. Okay. Oh, I see. You're probably like this, you mean? Ha ha ha. Yeah, maybe I'll touch that up, actually. Nah, maybe I'll leave it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Maybe I'll touch it up offline. You guys can't really tell what the hell I'm talking about, but okay. I think that's it. I think that's all the soldering. So the next steps are essentially this gets folded somehow, and then we mount. There's some 3D printed parts, like a bracket. Then I have the gem. We have to solder some jumpers on the gem and then reassemble it with the 50,000. And I'll mention it now, but I'll also demonstrate it next week. If you go watch, I mentioned the Long Island Retro channel did the install for this, and the One Up Gaming Restorations is the one who does the mods, and they mentioned, and now I kind of noticed it because the other console was a 3900, but it had the 50,000 PSU that Dan gave me. Excuse me. This connector here for the power supply, you'll notice there's kind of like a lip on it on the far side, like the side where my finger is. It causes the power supply to not sit flush if you leave that. So I'm going to cut the lip, the very top of this part off, so that the 50,000 PSU can sit flat. That's something that I noticed. My PSU was bending, and that was a really good tip from Long Island Retro. I don't know if Dan mentions that anywhere, but I'll show it in more detail. But the 30,000 or the 39,000 PSU is actually upside down compared to the 50,000. The 39,000, which is this console's stock PSU, kind of sits on top, like it sits this way, but the 50,000 is sort of like upside down and more level with the board, if that makes sense. And that's the reason you need not just the power supply, but you also need the shield, the brackets that it goes on, or else you're gonna have a bad time. That chip has something to do with the DVD drive control. It's what all mod chips tap into for region. What are you talking about? Are you talking about this down here, this thing? Oh, that's right, because the CPU would be on the other side, right? Is it one of these bigger chips? Interesting. Yeah, I definitely want to do some more PS2 mods. I mean, it's very interesting. Maybe not the fancy glued down cables, although that looks really cool. I love when people do that. All right, so I have not used it a lot, but I'm going to give you a couple of, maybe like a couple of minutes, I guess, on my thoughts on the Pocket, the analog Pocket. I can't find, for some reason, my Mio Mini. It's just gone somewhere in my house, so I can't give a good visual demonstration of a couple things. So first of all, I'm just back at my desk. So first of all, it's huge, right? So this is the analog Pocket. Let me get this is a sneak preview. Hopefully PCBWay isn't on the call on the stream anymore, but PCBWay is a sponsor of the channel, and they just manufactured, and I have the PCBs for the MGBC, the Game Boy Pocket Color, the bucket mouse version. So I'm going to be doing this, but this is a Game Boy Pocket. So it is huge. Maybe my tweet didn't put it into perspective, but it's at least 20% bigger than a Game Boy Pocket. So this is like DMG size, maybe a little bit bigger even, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The screen is really nice. Okay, Modsville, I see. Yeah, that chip underneath. The screen is really nice. I would not say that it's amazing, like color-wise. It's not really even that high resolution. But yeah, I'm excited, CO, to do this. I'm really excited about this. I'm trying to save up some money to buy the screen. I have the bill of materials to populate the board. So I'm going to be kind of like make a sponsored stream out of populating the board, talking about the project, and putting it as much of it together as I can, because I really want one of these so bad. So, all right, long story short, it infuriates me. So I have some of the open FPGA cores set up. The most annoying thing is that the open FPGA cores don't allow you to use the sleep function, or if you use the normal cores, like the actual retro analog pocket cores for like the Game Boy or whatever. So I have an EverDrive. I'm using this EverDrive in here. Sleep is not supported with EverDrives either. Even if you're using the built-in cores, the sleep awake function doesn't work. Is that the screen on the glass? Is the screen on that glass? I don't know what you mean. Yeah, I don't have the screen protector. I need to buy the screen protector, but it's underneath. Let me turn it on. I have the NES core. Let me put the NES core for a minute. So the thing that I liked about the Miu Mini, I've had the Miu Mini for a while as well, which is a software emulator, whereas this is FPGA emulator. The killer feature of the Miu Mini is the sleep and console switcher. So somehow the Miu Mini is able to keep every game that you start, or maybe there's a limitation, but I've started a dozen games with different consoles with the Miu Mini, and it saves every one of them in memory once you put the console to sleep. Or even if you shut it off, it remembers what you're doing, what games you've played, and you can very easily get back into a game extremely quickly. So you saw how long it was just taking me. Now I'm in the NES core. Right, so now I'm in this is Balloon Fight. Now I'm in the NES core. It took me probably 30 seconds. As you get older, at least for me personally, I don't have a lot of time to game. So like I might have a few minutes. So I really wanted to play Pokemon, like one of the older ones, like Leaf Green. I think I was starting to play. So I really wanted to play Leaf Green on here. But one of the things about the Miu Mini is the sleep thing. I could be like, okay, I have a minute. I can use the whole minute to play the game because I'm right where I was. I don't have to go back into the menu, load the save. And then my son likes playing Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation 1, and that runs the PlayStation 1 emulator on the Miu Mini Plus, whatever the newest one is. It's great. It runs really well. I mean, maybe not 100% accurate, but it's smaller than this, and it's a cheap $60 device. My son can switch away from the game that I'm playing, Pokemon, and play his game, and then when he's done, I can take it back from him, and I can switch right back into the game, and it's there. So that is the most annoying. Is a screen made out of glass? Yeah, yes, it looks like it is. Yep. But then they also sell a screen protector that I'm going to get as well. So I don't know if they're ever going to update it. That's the thing, Nick, is I feel like they don't want to make this absolutely destroy everything. I feel like they could, but maybe there is some kind of a technical limitation why they can't do the in-memory, like keep each core in memory, or like store it. You know what I mean? Like you can switch cores and games that you're playing. But like even the Mister can't do that. You still have to boot up a core, boot into the game, and even then if you have save states or something, so you'd have to wait at least until you're in the core in the game before you can do any of that. It can't just save all the games that you're playing in memory and just switch them around. I don't know how exactly it's doing that, but if the $60 Chinese emulator can do it, that's really appealing to a lot of people. And the fact that this doesn't have that, I mean, it would if you had a bunch of Game Boy cartridges, but Spoiler alert, I don't like physical media that much. So I really like the flash carts. So I just don't like spending money on physical media, I guess I should say. So it's a big bummer that sleep doesn't work. Get the Amazon. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't buy anything. I just, because this was the special edition one, and I wanted to buy it ASAP. So I was right on it when they released them. I bought just this. I didn't want to put anything else in my cart. I just wanted to go right through the thing. So I don't know. I don't think they will update it, because if this becomes too powerful, then what's the reason for somebody to powerful feature-wise? I mean, what is the reason for anybody to want to buy any of the other analog systems? Right? If they can make this one device have all those things, sleep awake, in memory for all the different games across all the different cores, and good output to a TV, which this has a dock. So assuming that the output can be perfect, I'm assuming that the output can be perfect for these cores, but they just they don't allow that functionality because they want people to not just want this one device and nothing else. They want people to buy all the That's my opinion. I don't know. Oh, hey, RN. Yeah, it's hopefully you have better luck than I had. What console is it supposed to be for? Yeah, so it has cores out of the box just for Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. Is it Game Boy Advance? I think it's Game Boy Advance and Game Gear. You might need an adapter, but then there's a bunch of other adapters. So I think there's there might be a Hue card one. But some of the adapters are kind of like Tower of Power, like they look just goofy. But so I'm kind of bummed that the open FPGA cores, and I kind of think other people have talked about this. I definitely know that other people have talked about that being a limitation. That I don't think they're ever going to bring feature parity between the built-in cores and the open FPGA cores. So there's definitely a lot of them. I downloaded all the spiritualized ones, so the Super Nintendo, Genesis, and all the way up to I don't think they're ever going to have anything like N64 or PlayStation 1. But for all the handheld older consoles, this is nice screen size. I like the weight of it. The screen is plenty bright. Not super high resolution screen, but it doesn't really need to be. And it's a 4x3. It's not widescreen or anything. And I was a little nervous that it is the Game Boy form factor and not like the Game Boy Advance, because I struggle sometimes with the pocket being too cramped, because I have probably average size hands, and I like the way this looks, but it just is terrible to actually play on. But they nailed the actual usability of it, I think. But that's just my opinion. It sucks, Modsville. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's Game Boy Advance. It does have little shoulder buttons on the back. Yep. And they're not. They're like the SP style. Yep. So I completely forgot. The other thing that the Miu Mini does and other software emulators have that I don't think this will ever have is fast forward. So if you're playing a game like Pokemon, especially, that's what I wanted to play, and that was something that I didn't think I was going to use this in the beginning, but it's assigned to like this. There's on the Miu Mini, there's 2 sets of buttons on each edge. One of them is fast forward. So like if you're walking back to the Pokemon Center to heal your Pokemon, or if you're just waiting for a Pokemon to attack, you can spam the speed up button, and it literally will make it like twice the speed, and so it makes playing Pokemon games way easier, way less time consuming, because you can just speed through it. There's nothing like that, I don't think, on this, unless anybody knows that. I think there is save states, but they're disabled in the open FPGA cores. So it's just for the stock cores, but it just doesn't have the features that the Miu Mini does. And I know that they're coming out with there's other, and Burnick is one company that makes them. Miu Mini, Miu or whatever is one of the companies. I don't know if there's any. I'm sure there's other ones that I haven't. I don't often pay attention to software emulator things, but it's very appealing if you're on a budget, if you have kids, and that you're not sure if they're going to like video games. What could be worse than spending just $60 on a Miu Mini? If they hate it, who cares? You've got a $60 cool handheld. If they love it, even better, because that's like, it's a good way to connect with. I found it's a good way to connect with my son. So I don't know. I hope that doesn't bum anybody out if they bought one or didn't or were thinking. If you're on the fence, I would consider, because this is $200 for the black normal one, or the black or the white normal one, but $250 for these special edition ones, versus $60 for the Miu Mini Plus or whatever, that the top of the line Miu Mini one. So I can mod in an oscillator and switch probably. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious actually if you could hardware hack that and add the make the clock faster. I think they mentioned that they would add screen filters. Yeah, that's fine, but like the usability things are really killer apps and are killer features, and that's, I think even if you think about like Mister or something, Mister in the sense of like people want things like being able to read carts or play games from a cart. You can't do that with Mister. There's no sleep wake memory saving of where you were in a game. So like literally you just select a game from any of the cores that you have, and it will boot right into where you were in that game, and not just like go to the core screen and then you go into a game. I know there's cool projects like the NFC reader thing that are neat, but it just doesn't beat the portability of these of the Miu Mini. I never really talked about them because I always talked retro new stuff, but now that I can consider other things, or I have time to play with devices, that's for other people, or for people that are wondering other little small factors that contributed to why I stopped making videos. This is one of them, right? Not having enough time outside of the time that I allot to do mods to then play the games or play the mods or whatever, use the consoles. So I've been playing with this, offline, and I've only had a day or whatever, but I got all the cores on there. I'm actually having a problem with like Game Boy Advance, some of the ROMs loading. I don't know if I need like a BIOS file too, in addition to the core files copied over the SD card. So I'll have to read into it more. But I've only ever been able to get the NES to work. So all right, that's it. I know I kind of went way over 11, and I probably should have tested the gem instead of talk about the Pocket, but it's just on my mind right now, and I didn't want to forget it. And if anyone is curious or on the fence or something, or if they're considering not opening their Pocket just to flip it or something, that's an interesting. I don't often promote scalping or condone scalping, but in the case of these the special edition ones, I don't know. I don't care about that, so I open it and play it. But like, if you bought it and you're having second thoughts about whether or not you should sell it, maybe you can try to sell it on eBay or something. I don't. If you're on the fence and you're just like, oh well, maybe I should try something else. So buy the other thing first, and then hold on to this for a little bit, and then sell it. I don't know, and don't open it. Are you using an updater utility? Is there an updater utility? Thanks, Bondsville. I didn't know there was an update utility. Nick, see if you follow me on Twitter, send me a link to something if you know about an updater utility, because I don't know about that. I'll do more research for Wednesday. But okay, this Wednesday, I'm going to finish. We're gonna test the Retro Gem. I'm probably gonna test it offline between now and then, so I have a game plan for Wednesday. Just plug it in. I'm not gonna touch it up or anything, but so we'll get this thing at least tested, and then the slow process of putting it back together correctly. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being civil in the comments. And yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday.